Welcome to episode 201 of the Blue Recluse. My name is Martin Larsen, and you're listening to the podcast about everything Blizzard. It's Sunday, August the 19th, 2018, and with me today, all the way from the northern land of Irish, Tom Knight.
Yo, yo, yo. Just thought I'd jump on for the podcast. Obviously, nothing major has happened this week, so I don't know what we're going to talk about. Don't know at all. We're just going to be sitting here pretty much in silence for an hour. Yeah, there's nothing really to talk about.
Yeah, we'll take questions from the chat, starting with Frashley. While Frashley is typing out his question, we will also say hello all the way from the United States of the Americas. It's Michael.
Hello. Well, since we have nothing to talk about this week, a game that we know has a bunch of information all the time, we could talk about StarCraft all day today. And the many things that are happening over there. That's right. The StarCraft 2 special, round 2. It's awesome.
I reckon, I'm just going to put it out there. We are the only Blizzard podcast that have said the word StarCraft this week. Putting it out there. Somebody find me another podcast that have mentioned StarCraft, and I will give you
Don't say that, because there is a podcast like all about StarCraft.
Okay, that one doesn't count. That one doesn't count. I was talking about the all Blizzard, Anyway, should we get on with this?
Yes.
Get me out of this hole.
Fine. Okay. I will start the show. No more talk about StarCraft forever. So let's go.
Here I come.
I sense something elusive. Stay a while and listen. Well met. You are not prepared. This better be good. Existence is mysterious.
Loud and clear. Hello there.
Greetings, traveler, and welcome to the Blue Recluse.
Okay, Thomas. So the first question from Frashley goes to you. What is your favorite omelet?
I don't eat omelets, so there you go.
There we go.
Booyah!
So yeah,
I love how we're just talking about
it.
omelets when we need to get it. We need to get going here, guys. We need to really push on.
You're right.
So
My favorite omelets have cheese, ham, and bacon in them.
So what kind of fire do you use, Michael, when you make an omelet?
I use a cooking
guys,
fire.
That's it. Come on, pulling the plug on this.
What?
Because some people might say that you use hellfire.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
I've been known to use hellfire once in a while.
So do you sometimes switch to other types of fire?
I haven't yet, but I am looking forward to switching to some hellfire coming up soon.
Oh, really? What kind of hellfire is that?
It's more of the red variety. It is it's a bit hot. It's not high flame, but it's just enough to simmer underneath the surface until it comes bursting out.
You've made your point, guys. You've made your point. You've made the segue from omelet to Diablo 3. Let's get on with it.
Spoilers, Tom. Spoilers. Jeez.
Whoa. Someone is impatient today.
I'm impatient because I want to talk about not omelets, but the fact that Diablo 3, the Eternal Collection, is coming to Nintendo Switch. So this is what we've all been waiting for. This week we've been sitting there. We've been waiting for this announcement, doing nothing else. And now we can finally play Diablo 3 on the bus, on the train, on the aeroplane, and various other places where you need to do things just because there's nothing else to do. We all know what I'm talking about. But this was kind of expected for quite a while, wasn't it? We were just waiting for that confirmation. I think there was a leak from Forbes to say that this was actually happening, and then
there also was a tweet, wasn't there, with an image of a side switch or something?
Yeah,
like that?
Diablo.
That was a while back.
That was about was that 6 months ago or longer, perhaps?
It was a while ago.
Really long time ago, and to kind of announce this week, to announce after the leak, we had this little bit of a cringe fest of an announcement video. Michael, do you want to tell us your feelings about this?
So I love the cringe fest things. We had a video with Reggie from Nintendo of America and Mike Morheim from Blizzard, of course, and they are doing their best cringy performances. I don't know if it's really a performance or if it's just all natural, but either way, it is it is amazing. I love it. It's actually a pretty well done thing. Like, I was looking at YouTube comments, and it wasn't the traditional like, oh my god, cringe, this sucks, and blah blah. It's not like Twitch chat. Like, Reggie is known for that type of stuff. If you've ever watched like some of his things, like, he does that kind of stuff often, and Mike Morheim just seems like the perfect person to throw in there with it. But
yeah, Mike Morheim always seems to have that little bit of awkwardness
like
about him anyway, but it's kind of endearing, isn't it?
Mike Morheim always has the look of I don't know why I'm up here, but I'm here, so we're gonna talk World of Warcraft and Diablo.
Hey Reggie, I'm really glad you guys like Diablo. Here's here it is. You can have it, guys.
But yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week. I think it was last week or the week before, where we talked about it coming and the implications that this might have on a possible Diablo announcement at BlizzCon or Gamescom. And I'm still holding on to hope, because I said that if they announced that Diablo 3 was coming to Switch, then it was very unlikely that we're going to have much concrete stuff on Diablo 4. But I am going to say that there is still a possibility that they'll announce it, but it still might be a ways out in terms of when we might actually get our hands on it.
I want to give you some hope, Michael. I want to give you some hope right now, because Bethesda, they pretty much bring out Skyrim every week for a new console or something like that.
That's true.
And they recently announced like the new Elder Scrolls game as well. So I don't think it means that we might not get a Diablo 4 announcement or something along those lines. But I think at the same time, it just shows that Diablo 3, it's still a happening game for Blizzard. It's still something they, kind of want to get into people's faces. And I think, like, even if they did decide to then announce something to do with Diablo 4, like having Diablo 3 come out on a portable console, Switch is very strange, because it's something that they're kind of pushing as you can take it on the go, so you could kind of keep that separate from like the mainstream kind of PC gaming as like an alternative to take on the go, whereas Diablo 4 would be something more for like consoles and like main consoles, like more powerful consoles. But I think it's impressive to be able to see Diablo 3 running on something like the Nintendo Switch, and it's exciting to potentially know that Blizz and Nintendo are best buddies again, and we want that Yoshi mount in World of Warcraft. We're going to be asking for that from now until the end. So it's exciting. It's exciting just to see these two guys come together.
I have a question for Marty on this.
Okay.
Because you've played on the PlayStation, right? With your girlfriend, you played Diablo 3 on the PlayStation. I played it way back on PS3 when it was still a thing back then. Do you think that it will transfer over to like the little Joy-Cons on the Switch? Or will it have to be one of those, like, yes, you could play with more than one person, but you kind of both have to have two of the Joy-Cons put together to form like an actual controller?
Does Marty know what that is?
I have no clue what any of that is.
You don't?
I'm not in. I haven't been interested in the Switch at all, and to be honest, I don't think Diablo 3 is the game to bring me on board on the Switch, because I've played it now through a lot of times on the PC, now on the PlayStation as well. So, and
have you played it? Have you played it in a grocery store? You know what I'm saying?
No,
if you change your environment, your surroundings, that totally changes the game.
Maybe the egg will boil or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just. I think at some point said, and I don't know if it was live on the air or if we just had a conversation about it. But I think I said that if Nintendo Switch is the only announcement we get to Diablo, then I'll probably be really disappointed. Because I don't intend on buying the game once again. I already bought it twice. Unless they do something about that, or you can actually get it for free on Switch when you have it on the other consoles, but you probably can't if I know them right.
I think you should I think you should get a free Nintendo Switch if you've got it on PC already. They just send you out one, just like, yep, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, do that, Blizzard, please.
And Frasley brings up, because Alexander obviously knows a lot of stuff about Blizzard as well, is always scouring the archives for bits and bobs, and they're saying that StarCraft 2 would not be feasible on Switch, but Overwatch would be. So
Yeah.
that's interesting as well, that Overwatch could make its way onto the Switch as well, and just expanding that reach into that player base as well.
Yeah, I mean the only thing is that I could see that work as well. I think the only thing I have this with the Switch is it's a small mobile device. I'm not sure how. I don't know. It's difficult to see because I mean, I think we were even a little bit skeptical with the Hearthstone port over to mobile, even though that it felt like it would work better and on there, but and it actually turned out amazing to it. So maybe it can run really great on the Switches. I don't know.
I can see it working. It just depends on whether or not you are okay with taking the hit in graphical fidelity and possibly how they might optimize it for the console, because especially like the Switch is both on your TV and portable, and it's been shown that it actually runs better when it's actually docked and you're playing it on your TV. It has a higher frame rate count. It's able to be more stable. So if you are pitching the idea to make it more so like Overwatch on the go, how much are you going to sacrifice in terms of performance and things like that to either make it look pretty or sacrifice graphical fidelity to make the performance better? Because obviously the Switch is not as powerful as PS4.
And how does Switch work regarding to internet? Does it have like can you add a SIM card to it, or how does it work, or is it only on Wi-Fi or things like that? Because
like a mobile app or something, don't you? It's really clunky.
Because I'm
It's
just thinking
Nintendo Online, so it's horrible.
I'm just thinking, how will you play Overwatch on the go with the Switch?
Bots. Nothing but bots.
Exactly.
You know, like old school Battlefield games. Just fill it with bots.
It's fine. It'll be a perfect time for Blizzard to announce their PvE expansion that they're going to bring out.
Then I'm on board. Then I might consider it.
I mean, that sounds like more like a long-term project. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not super excited for it. I think it's cool that they're moving to different platforms as well, and for people who are new to Diablo or other people who want to play it on the go, it's probably pretty cool. But I don't know. It's just I'm not too interested in it yet. I'm not sold on it.
One problem I really do have is the price. $60. $60 for a game that came out how many years ago now?
But that does include like the Reaper of Souls and the Necromancer.
To me, it doesn't matter because it's still how many years old game, like. And then if you do have plans to release like Diablo 4 in the future, relatively soon, like I don't know, maybe it's because I had it on PS3 and I have it on PC that like $60 for a game that I already own is a bit pricey for me. So
yeah. And that's the same issue I have, that I already bought it twice already. Sure, one of the times well, actually technically 3 times, right? Because I bought the main game, I bought the expansion full priced, and then I bought the PlayStation version where I think everything is in that when it was on sale. So I did buy it a little bit cheaper. But I mean, I already spent a lot of money on this game, but they're not adding any new story anytime soon. So yeah, I'm just having a hard time. It's a hard sell for me because I already own it. But
okay, Marty. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, yeah, I don't know anymore.
I'm just saying, because Michael's saying he doesn't want to pay $60 for Diablo, and you guys are like, oh, we don't want to pay money. So how about we move this on and we say, do you want something for free? Would you guys like something for free? Does that sound good?
Okay, give me something for free.
Because this week in Hearthstone, right? It's not a disease. No, it's definitely not a disease. Well, I mean, I can't 100% confirm that, but the Boomsday project has been it's been happening for the past couple of weeks in good old Hearthstone land, and this week we get the PvE side of that with the launch of the project Puzzle Labs, which is available from August 21st. And when you log in, when this is launched, you're going to get 3 packs for free. Woo woo! Get back in there. Woo! Get back in there, because you're doing nothing else this week, right? You're doing nothing else. There's no other game holding your attention. But just want to quickly shout out that Blizzard also pushed out a little behind the scenes of the making of this Puzzle Lab, which actually was very interesting, because this is going to be a bit different from what we've seen previously with kind of like the monster hunt and the dungeon run. This is going to be like puzzles that you can solve, like lethal puzzles, board clear puzzles that you solve in one turn. And they kind of went into the interesting fact of how, you know, when you do like these encounters, like these PvE encounters, if something goes wrong, you have to restart and there's loading screens, and you know, it's a bit of a hassle to keep going. So they've kind of rebuilt a lot of how this works and making it so easy to kind of refresh your puzzle just by hitting a button, and it totally kind of wipes everything that you've done. You can just move to kind of the next puzzle in the sequence as well seamlessly from what they've shown from behind the scenes. So it was interesting for them to come out and say like the actual content wasn't, you know, that difficult to bring together, but they've done so much work behind the scenes, and it was actually a lot of work to make this really accessible, and hopefully that increases the enjoyment of taking part in this. And I'm for one very much looking forward to trying this out, and yeah, getting into some puzzle action.
I love puzzle games, so I'm looking forward to check this out, because majority of my mobile phone games, if I have any, is like puzzle games. So maybe I'll install Hearthstone again.
Tom and I discussed this mode, not with this game, but we discussed it in, I believe it was The Elder Scrolls Legends has this mode, and I was testing that out a while back, and it's a lot of fun. It teaches you crazy ways to think about the game, and I think that it's it'll be an awesome addition to the game.
Yeah, and you think like when you get one turn and you've got a set of cards, that it probably seems quite straightforward what cards you should use, but if it's anything like the one in Elder Scrolls Legends,
Holy
it was
moly.
Yeah, it was like, actually, you know, I really got to think about this. And according to the behind the scenes video, Dave Kosak was stuck on one of these for over an hour, and we will see exactly
I have Googled
how hard it is, but I think there's like over 100 puzzles, which is, you know, it's gonna be really great free addition to Hearthstone. And it's also good that they are continuing to do a little things differently with the kind of PvE side, and yeah, definitely going to be a welcome addition.
Okay, Tom, overall, because I bet you're the one of us who have played the Boomsday project the most, because I haven't touched it at all, so I know you beat me. How is it going so far? How does it feel? Is it a solid expansion so far? I know it's probably a little bit too early to say, but how does it feel right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to probably repeat a lot of things I said last week, and I've still mainly just been throwing together a couple of mech decks. And I think when you do get this main synergy kind of thrust in your face with an expansion, it's a lot easier to try and throw together some decks with that synergy in mind as well. And I have just been mainly playing kind of mech decks, and also my Whizzlebang kind of legendary that picks one of the deck recipes. I need to make a correction, because last week I think I said it picked from 27 decks, and it's actually only 18 decks, because it doesn't pick the classic decks, obviously. So I was quickly informed of my error last week, and I would like
a little bit of house cleaning.
A little bit of house cleaning there, and also apologizing for giving you guys incorrect information, because we've never done that before. We've never done that before. So yeah, I'm obviously, you know, there's other stuff going on, which is taking time away from Hearthstone. But I know, Michael, after our chat kind of last week on the show, you did dedicate some time to getting back in there, because didn't you get the pre-order? Didn't you?
No,
you
I
didn't
get the pre-order because I didn't know if I was gonna go in there.
Okay.
I just went in there and spent my hard-earned money.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You did it afterwards.
Yes.
So and did you craft Whizzleline?
That's right. That's the one deck that I have. It's the only deck that I've used so far, and I am 8-0 so far. 8-0. I have not lost once with that deck, and truthfully, I want to go to 10, but I've been nervous to go back in because I don't want to lose that I've been winning, and some of them have been really close games. But it's been fun.
Look at Michael. Have you ever seen Michael smile while talking about Hearthstone? I think this is history in the making here.
Not since Nax Ramis have I.
Wow, this is a new Michael right here.
It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend anybody that, like, if you just want to get in, I crafted that card, and that was the only one I needed to craft, and I'm having so much fun with it.
It's a great starting place, and I wonder if they're gonna do kind of more cards like that, like kind of these legendaries that newer players can craft and get a taste of a lot of cards and a lot of mechanics for very little investment. I think that was an interesting way to approach that whole free-to-play model and the issue with making the game more accessible. And I know I have a little wild challenge with my good friend Ziggy Sarah and the Crosshair on Twitter, and I know the Crosshair this month is exclusively playing Whizzlebang on
Nice.
Wild. He's not playing anything else, so he's giving us a bit of a chance to get ahead of him. So I appreciate that.
Do the decks do they switch if you go into Wild versus Standard? Like, does it pull from Wild cards, or is it still just kind of newer Standard ones?
You know, I actually have to investigate that, and I had the exact same thought yesterday, and I didn't check it out. And it's something I will look into, because I don't think it does, but it would be cool if you switched over to Wild, that you got these other Wild deck recipes. But I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question. If anybody knows out there, yeah, let us know.
Okay.
And that's it, isn't it? Well, that's all we had to talk about today. We just wanted to get
Yep.
just wanted to get this out the way.
Quickly,
And,
a quick touch up, just what's going on in our world, and then move out and move back
yeah,
to
nothing else going on. So what about those omelets?
Yeah. Was it-
How do we segue into this now? How do we?
It's
how do we
been
segue?
brought down. Like, we could have segued
know,
so
it's-
much better.
It's like, why are we even on this podcast? We should be playing Warcraft right now. Battle for Azeroth is here. We've all been playing it. We're all super excited. We've got probably way too much to talk about. We talked about Diablo for too long and Hearthstone too long. We
You
should
can
just
never
talk
do
about
that for too
Warcraft.
long.
We talked about omelets, but hey, here we go, guys. This is why you're here for.
we even mentioned StarCraft.
We did token.
And
gesture.
chat brought up Warlords of Draenor, so we brought in everything.
This is
Yeah,
full circle. Full
Yeah.
circle.
Full circle. So let's just end the show.
Should we start at the beginning? The launch night.
Yep. Do it.
Us three guys and other
How was it?
people kind of jumped on Discord, and the launch seemed to be pretty smooth for us Europeans. I know there was a bit of issues over on the America side with your better half, Michael, had issues getting on, but I feel like she was too busy playing The Sims, and then she decided to log on. She wasn't prepared. And,
She wasn't. So we were logged in like an hour before the game is supposed to launch. And she's
like
just
you do,
Yes.
because you know that don't log in at the last minute, because then you won't get in.
I mean, I didn't know that. I just naturally figured, like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I need to get in there before it launches, because if it's a rolling thing, I want to be right in there right away. So she did not log in beforehand, and we're already playing it, and she can't get in. She can't find her characters. Obviously, with a launch, you're gonna have some issues here and there, and this is the first time that I've been a part of the launch experience. I've never been there, like, when it's happening and getting into that current content right away. And I have to say that aside from a few, hey, we need to take it down to update really quick, and you might have a few issues, you might need to relog back in a couple times, I personally had barely any issues. There was maybe some lag here and there, my sounds were going off, but the animations weren't, type deal, but it was smooth. We were in there together, all of us chatting on Discord, until we realized that we kind of want to experience the content, and we're all just kind of like talking about things or not talking, so what's the point of being in the call? So we kind of dipped on the call. But the launch night, or morning, afternoon for me, it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, it was morning for us as well.
Yeah, yes it was.
Different morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, you talk about us kind of dipping out of the call, because this was, like, for me, this was the first expansion.
So many
where
cutscenes. So many cutscenes.
And little cinematics, and I was like, you know what, I need to get out of here, guys. There's just too much happening. I need to listen to actual story that's kind of tying the events of the pre-expansion actually into the expansion, and it's felt like a real kind of seamless transition that I think they've really nailed that with everything that's gone on pre-expansion, and now going into this expansion, it just felt really good. And from the Alliance perspective, we're kind of you get your Heart of Azeroth, and then you're back in Stormwind to find out the Horde have attacked again. They're setting fire to things again. They're not happy that they've destroyed 2 cities. They want to take out the 3rd. So my first reaction was, oh, they've gone and broke Surfang out of the stockades or something, but it turns out he's probably still in there somewhere. And then we kind of get the ball rolling with Jaina and her magical ship, which we don't fly, we take it on the water, and we head over to the new areas, and I think we all played Alliance, if I'm correct, right?
Yes.
No
I
Horde.
played Alliance. No. Okay. No. That's why the color in the background is blue.
Now Marty
So
will
we-
know about this because we both did Horde on beta. And
Mhm.
one thing that I was a little bit disappointed in is that on the Alliance side, we have like our quest and they tell us like that the Horde busted somebody out of the Stockades, the Zandalari, that they busted two of them out and took them away. And that was it. While the Horde gets that whole scenario, in order to participate in it, and I was a little bit upset that we didn't get to like the chance of like maybe us like chasing after them or trying to get to them, and we never were able to, and they kind of just sailed away like right at the last minute. I would have liked to be a part of something like that. So I
Don't worry,
was a bit
Michael.
disappointed.
After 14
But
years, you'll get
I'm-
used to Horde bias. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
But I'm pretty happy that we weren't on those ships though, because I don't know if you saw the cinematic, right? Where you meet this, what it is, we capture a troll and we ask him to tell him what happened, and then the Horde cinematic is showing, and I'm glad I weren't on those ships.
Yeah. Things get blown up, things get sunk, things happen, sea creatures.
It really feels like the Alliance just are like down and getting just kicked, constantly kicked, and you know, we're rolling into Kulturas, and
They keep telling us that we'll see how the Alliance strike back and do things that are questionable, and I haven't seen anything yet.
What are you talking about? I had to shear some gentle goats, and they did not like it, okay? They attacked me after it. They did not like it, and even after seeing that, they made me do it 5 more times. That's just deliberately hurting animals.
the Alliance are terrible, terrible people.
Oh my god.
One thing that Tom kind of brought up was he mentioned the cutscenes and all that, and we've all kind of mentioned it. The music so far has been absolutely amazing.
It's
no
been
matter,
so good.
it's been so good. I mentioned it. I have not I have not lowered the levels of audio intentionally, like just so I could do other things while I'm playing because the music is so good.
So the first time you kind of roll into Beloris City, I don't know if I'm saying that right. And every time you log in now, if you log in Beloris, it's like, duh, 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 duh. It's like, oh my god, I'm so pumped when I logged in that I'm just like, oh, I need to go and sell some stuff at the vendor, but I'm so pumped right now.
I need to go make some omelets.
How do you guys feel about Borealis as a whole? I mean, I haven't done the questing in that area, but it's a pretty big city. There's a lot going
That's a
on. It
city.
feels alive.
It feels like a proper city. It's like the city in around Nighthold. What's it called?
Suramar?
Suramar, yeah,
Suramar.
I have Suramar vibes for that place. Just the scale of it
except-
is incredible.
Yeah, except you can actually run around and don't get discovered all the time.
An illusion.
Speaking of running around,
Mhm.
I had it in my head. Oh, unlike Legion, when I couldn't fly right away, I
Yeah.
am not having any problems for the most part traversing the land. Like the way that they have built these zones so far, it's so well done. I don't feel frustrated like I did trying to climb High Mountain or anything like that. Like I haven't really been getting lost. It's been so much fun, and their design so far has been excellent. It's been beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had like very few occasions where I've been a little bit, oh, do I need to run all the way there? But that's mainly, and I guess that's part of it as well, because I'm a little bit further ahead of you guys. So I've unlocked more stuff, because you at some point, if you do the war campaign, then you go and set up small base camps and stuff in the different zones, and as you unlock your reputation at Honored, I think you can buy missions to go and make more small camps there. And so what you do is you send your followers out to clear the area, and then when they come back and say, hey, the area is clear, then you need to run there and set up the base. And those runs sometimes is a little bit like, oh, okay, here's the Horde City. I need to go around it. I can't go through it. Stuff like that. But I mean, it's minor things, and it makes sense that when you're in a foreign land, that you need to avoid stuff. So it's not like it doesn't play into the fantasy. It's just minor nuisances here and there. But that's it. I mean, overall, all the zones, they've been easy to get around, as you said. And oh my god, all the zones, all 3 Alliance zones is all so amazing and so gorgeous. I really,
Yes.
I love all of them in their own different way. And I'm having a hard time saying which one is my favorite.
I have a
even though
favorite.
I think that the one that's coming out on top is a Drustvar.
Drustvar. Yes.
Drustvar, yeah. I just like the vibe there, and the music is amazing there, and the story is so good. And small spoiler alert: when you go quest afterwards, after you're done in all 3 zones, you have to return to Drustvar for stuff. I'm not going to say anything more, but stuff is happening, and I know that you guys will probably take a few more weeks before you're there, and I'm so like, oh, I want to talk about it.
What do you mean a few more weeks? Well, yeah, because I started work again. I was like off for those first few days of the expansion launch, so I was playing it like crazy. But I started work a couple days ago again, so it's only been a few hours here or there. But Drustvar is by far like my favorite. Mainly because I'm a huge fan of like that gothic horror type stuff, and just the quest line in general. I forgot that I was playing like World of Warcraft for a little bit because of just the whole quest, the storyline going on there. It was a bit jarring when I thought about it at first, that like I went from being like hero and champion and destroyer of Argus to all of a sudden, what are you doing here, outsider? it was a bit weird when I thought about it, but I got over that quickly, and I love Drustvar. It's my favorite.
Michael, if you say,
actually, I have a quick thing actually, because someone said in the chat that if you do some of the dungeons, you might get spoiled. So I totally agree with that comment. I just wanted to quickly just bring it up, that if you want to do dungeons, wait until they actually present themselves throughout the storyline, because
Louse.
they
I
are
have,
really
I
spoilery.
have a story behind that.
Okay.
So, me and Amanda started in Tiragard Sound, and we got the dungeon quest for is it Freehold? There. And anyway, I picked up like a bunch of profession quests as well, and I was like, oh, do you want to do this dungeon? Because there was a bit of lag and we weren't really getting anything done. She's like, yeah, no problem. So I signed us up for the dungeon in Drustvar.
Waycrest Manor.
Waycrest Manor. I was just looking at my quest log and I saw the dungeon icon and I saw, oh, it's Waycrest Manor. I didn't even look; it wasn't even the right quest. And signed us up. I was like, wow, this really doesn't make any sense. Like, where's all the pirates gone? Why are we in a creepy witch house? And we went through there and we're like, oh, wrong dungeon. Whoops, we've just ruined it all. But there we go. Sorry about that.
I have a question related to the dungeons. So I know Tom is a protection paladin like I am. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts so far on the tanking? Because the tanking has changed a little bit. The aggro is a little bit more, you have to manage it. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are, Tom, on actually tanking it, and then possibly Marty's on what he's seen so far with other people tanking it. Like, is it any different than Legion, where everything was magnetized to the tank? Have you had any horror stories of the tank not being the greatest and not holding aggro?
I've only done the one dungeon, and I had no real issues. I think with new expansions, you do get people that are a bit excited and they kind of run ahead and pull stuff. Maybe they've done it a few times and you're in there for the first time, so it's a bit awkward. But to be honest, I don't feel that qualified to say, oh yes, tanking is as good as ever, because I did one dungeon and it went fine. But I mean, I am hearing things about people going into heroics and kind of beyond that, and if they're like tanks going in and pulling too much, because they're kind of used to being geared to the nines with legendaries and top gear, and now because of the way stats are scaling, everything's a bit wonky, everything's a bit off. We're finding our feet again, and probably Marty's jumped into a few tougher scenarios, let's just say, than me.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually, tanking wise, I haven't seen too many things gone wrong, except the things you already mentioned, where people are a little bit over confident and pull a little bit too much and stuff like that. At least the ones I've had so far has been like nice about it and been like, oh, whoops, my mistake. I just wanted to see how much we could tank and stuff like that.
Did they
So
actually say that? Is that a direct
Yeah.
quote?
that is sort of, no, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. He
Okay.
was like, oh, I guess we can do that sort of thing.
Sorry, chaps.
Sorry, chaps. So I mean, it's been pretty civil so far in the queue from what I've seen. Obviously, I've also jumped in with my some of my guildies, and we've been doing both heroic and mythic. And oh man, I really enjoy mythic. It's like being back in vanilla. Because we go in there in mythic, we're a little bit undergeared. Sometimes it's like, okay, we can't take this pack because we don't have the numbers, so we need to CC and things like that. So it's been
Sorry,
an amazing.
what's CC?
CC crowd control.
Oh,
crowd.
What's that? What's crowd control?
Crowd control.
Like using abilities of your class that you like
No,
were covered in
you-
dust, and you're like,
Oh,
oh, incapacitate a humanoid for 60 seconds. Why would I ever need to do that?
exactly.
What's a humanoid?
Yeah, exactly. What's a sheep? Yeah, so it's like the mage spell, like sheep, the hunter frost trap, stuff like that. So you don't have to deal with that mob until you choose to, or until someone breaks aggro because they AoE too much. So yeah, but overall dungeoning has been really good fun. I think one of my main gripes at the moment is I'm playing an elemental shaman, and the DPS is a little bit on the lower side. Especially when you see a mage go in there and just do 20,000 DPS on a group of mobs, and you're sitting there looking at your 8k DPS on a group of mobs, then you're like, am I doing things wrong, or is something bugged here? But apparently other elemental shamans are saying the same things as I am, so I think it's not just me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to do with Chris Mattson leaving Blizzard and shamans went to hell. There's no correlation.
Finally, we can nerf him into the ground. Do you guys do the? Go ahead.
Hmm?
No, I was
just
just
saying.
I'm gonna just put a bubble.
Okay. One thing that I would recommend you guys, though, if is to go and check out AskMrRobot.com. Some people might remember it. Some people might not even know what it is. Just to quickly sum up,
Is that a show on Amazon Prime?
No, that is a different one.
Okay.
AskMrRobot.com is a website resource where back in the days in Pandaria, we had reforging. So they made it easy to figure out how to reforge your gear. But since after that, reforging has gone away. So they took a break, but they're now back. And what they have been doing is that in short terms, what they've done is that they have taken all the gear, all the classes, all the specs, and simmed everything. So if there's any gear combination, talent combination, whatever you want to know, then you can go over there and input your character details and just see what items are good for you and things like that. It's really useful, and I actually bought the premium for it just to properly try it out, and they have features like you basically just import a string from the add-on into the Ask Me As the Robot website, and then you can just check what's best in my bags, and it will actually show you, hey, if you switch these two items around, then you will increase your DPS with a 2%, 5%, whatever.
It's always good to know what's best in your bags.
Especially because I'm finding it a little bit difficult with all the S-Rite gear to actually see, is this actually an upgrade for me, because they have different talents and stuff like that. So
I have a question about that just while you're on it, because I feel like you are a fountain of knowledge. You are levels ahead of us, Marty. The Heart of Azeroth, the way that levels up, is there any way to kind of monitor like that progress? Because you just seem to get like some power, and sometimes it levels up, and I have no idea when it's going to happen. And is there some like experience bar or something?
I'm having an experience bar. I don't really know if it's been there all the time, or if it
is it when you get to 120 maybe,
or if maybe that's the case as well. I'm not completely sure, but I do have an experience bar in the bottom that shows.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So, But yeah, but anyway, the Azeroth gear, it's a little bit difficult, I find, to actually see, even though it's 10 item level higher, maybe it should technically be an upgrade, but I actually have encountered situations because of Ask Mr. Robot where the lower item one was actually a better one because of the talent on it. So it's definitely something worth looking out for, I find.
But again, we're literally in uncharted waters, aren't we? Just
yeah. But I mean, if you're just going to, if you're not going to like raid Mythic from day one, then don't worry about it. Just have fun and try the talents, because I think that's also one of my issues, is that I like, well, not necessarily like, but I do min-max whenever I can. So a tool like this for me is amazing to use. But if you're just going to enjoy the game, then don't worry too much about it. You can even respec them, your gear, so you can try out the other talents as well. Or if you choose to change spec, then you can respec your gear. So you can reset it, and it only costs 10 gold. So I mean, it worked out. The gear actually works out quite well. I'm really happy to see how it all works out. My only thing is that sometimes it's a little bit difficult to see if it's actually an upgrade, a proper upgrade. But that's it.
Yeah, if you don't have any external add-ons for it, then you have to like equip it and actually like go through the rings and take a look at it, rather than just kind of look at it at face value and compare. You actually have to put it on and then go and look into it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's the only thing that I have so far. There might more things might show up in the future, but I'm really enjoying it so far. It's I think I like the system. I still want to test it a little bit more, but so far it looks pretty good.
Something I've been enjoying so far in the expansion, just keeping up the theme of stuff we're liking. The big worry I had when we started this expansion, and I talked about it last week, was that transition period where you go into a new expansion and you seem to end up, shaving goats and stuff like this here, and it kind of takes you away from the the main theme of Horde versus Alliance. And while you're always going to have quests, filler quests and quests just to keep you ticking over, the introduction of War campaign, which I think when you hit, is it 112 or 111 to start it, you kind of have these level requirements. You get to choose an area in the Horde starting continent of this expansion, and you head over there and you kind of just stick your flag in the ground and do you kill a few Forsaken, or you kill a few goblins, and there's a couple of quests just to pee on the tree, so to speak, to say that we're here as well, marking your territory. And
who's a good boy?
It's just kind of keeping up that faction rivalry, and it's not kind of letting that just slide by until maybe you get to 120 as well. And although it was a bit strange, you were maybe midway through your first zone, and it's telling you to head over to Zandalar or somewhere, and you're like, wait, what is this? But I think it's good to kind of keep that precedent of, we're at war. We're, yes, we need to shave those goats, but we also need to go and sort the Horde out. And I think it was it Nazmir in particular that the war campaign had done. You feel like you really are thrown into like the belly of the beast. You really feel like you're in no man's land, that you're outnumbered and you are setting up an outpost here, but you really feel like the land is dangerous. And I'll probably talk about war mode very shortly as well, but I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on how that got introduced and kind of breaking up the leveling system as well.
I just want to say, overall, I think the storylines has been amazing. I mean, I think you guys have not finished, far from finishing everything, but I have finished all 3 zones. And when you do that, when you finish the main storylines, then you continue down with the quest line where you figure out what happened to Jaina, because she didn't just end up in jail. Let's just put it that way. Stuff is happening, and at the very end is also a few things happening that I'm dying to talk about, but we can't do it yet because you guys haven't gotten there, and people listening probably don't want to get that spoiled either. But just the storylines overall, I find them amazing, and just how because I think one of the things I was very curious about going from Legion and into BFA was this whole scaling system. You choose your own path through the leveling zones, and what did they learn from Legion, and how, because I don't feel like Legion was the perfect example how to use the scaling zones and things like that. But oh man, I think BFA surely is, because just the storyline that you go through in each zone, and even all the side quests, they all just focus on telling the story of the zone, you know, and everything is connected. And even if you just do the main storyline, it's still, you still use most of the zone to do so. Where in a lot of in Legion, for instance, when you did the main quest line, if you knew where to go, then you only used like up 1/3 of the zone or something like that. So I really feel like they have done that very well, and I'm so happy to see that how it all turned out. And
I
and I was
totally agree.
yeah, and I was really curious again then about the war campaign, what that would be like. And I have to agree with you as well, Tom. It feels so cool to go over there and sort of like trying to take a little snippet of the Horde's cookies, and you know, just slowly eating more and more. I think everything so far works really well. So and just knowing that it's far from over, because at the moment, how you unlock when you're at max level, how you unlock more and more of the war campaign is by doing a little bit of rep grinding as well, with the 7th Legion. So you get it. It's not time gated, but it's gated behind reputation. But it's not like you have to go all the way to Revere, for instance, to get the next bit. They actually have a progress within Honored, for instance. So, for instance, it could be at 3,000 and 6,000 Honored or something. I don't know the exact numbers, so don't quote me
Why
on
not?
that. But
Why? I mean, jeez.
yeah, sorry, but something like that. And so you unlock it gradually, and I'm really just enjoying it so far.
It's actually because the questing and the storyline have been so good that I haven't even done part of the war campaign yet. Because I got the quest to go over there, and I was like, no, what am I? No, I'm still questing over here. I haven't finished that story. I completely did whatever I could in Drustvar while I was there. And then I went back to Borealis to get rid of all the gear that was in my bag and scrap it. And then I was getting ready to go to the next zone, which was Storm Song. And they're like, oh, do these things. And I'm like, okay, here's the mission table. Okay, I could do that. And then they wanted to send me all the way over there. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go questing on the other continent. I want to do all this stuff first. So I left that. There's still someone on the ship that's glowing, waiting to take me over there. I have not gone yet because I'm just so involved with whatever the story is. And it doesn't matter if it's the big one or the small side stories. I'm just so involved in the world right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it with the system, the scaling system and things. You don't have to go over there. You can totally wait until you're max level with doing that stuff. It doesn't matter, and I think that's the beauty of it, right?
I'd probably recommend, if once it pops up, though, to get on it, because that's where you kind of unlock a couple more followers for your missions as well. Although I'm finding with the kind of mission table, you know, sending your followers out, that does not feel that important anymore compared to Legion and, I mean, Warlords of Draenor.
It gets
like the rewards for that. It's like, oh, send a guy out to get 70 gold. I could get that in 2 minutes by herbing one herb.
probably don't bother with the gold ones to begin with, at least. But I mean, it does matter a little bit more in when you gain some reputation with the 7th Legion, because then as I said earlier, you can unlock more base stuff for your more outposts, and you can upgrade your outpost and stuff like that. So it does get a little bit more interesting later on, but in the beginning it's like don't worry too much about it. But yeah, as Tom said, you will unlock more followers if you go do the missions, so you can set them out and actually do more stuff. But I don't really feel like it's too needed. If you're not in a hurry to get to raiding, just do it in your own pace. It doesn't really matter too much until you get to it and to max level anyway.
Now I see chat talking about how how the world feels a bit empty. I don't know if that's maybe that's a bit intentional. from Blizzard, like maybe whatever phase or whatever you're in, they keep it limited to a certain amount, possibly because one of the things that we're gonna bring up here soon, war mode, kind of transforms the experience for somebody who never played on a PvP server. War mode right now, at least because we're not all kind of smushed together, but the occasional breakout of conflict has been so amazing for me. I love seeing in chat like people just being like, hey, we're all getting a group over here and we're gonna go hunt some hordes or something like that. Or I remember the first day we were playing, I was in a zone and one of the first comments I saw was, okay, who's the bitch that doesn't have war mode on? And I was like, not me, I got war mode on. But I am enjoying war mode, except when you come across a frost mage. They have been destroying me. But otherwise, war mode has been keeping me on my toes. I'm looking around instead of just fighting the mobs, like, no big deal. It's been so much fun and probably my most welcome addition so far to the game.
Yeah, I know among our people in our guild, most of the people who are questing in groups, they usually have war mode turned on, and people who are solo have usually turned it off. Obviously, there's always outliers who does it differently, but me personally, I had it on for the first, for the launch and until I went to bed. Just to get that a little bit of extra XP. But on day 2, when I woke up, I was like, no, I'll go back. I'll turn this off because I don't want to run into ganking hordes or whatever. Because I know people will be roughly at that time start hitting level 120. All the fast levelers.
Here's the magical thing, though, Marty. With the way stats are scaling, and the fact that legendary power wasn't really disabled until you hit 116, you could be like a 114 and 120s were coming up to you and having a hard time trying to put you down, especially if you are going around like 2 or 3 of you. If 120s were jumping you, they were not being successful, and it was kind of interesting that you actually felt like you had a chance against the people that had hit 120 just because of how the stats were scaling. And I know like me and Amanda had some really competitive encounters with hordes that tried to jump us, and they maybe tried to take one of us out because they didn't see the other person there. And like Michael says, I've just found that with MMOs in general, I felt questing, like when there's good story, you know, it's always enjoyable, but when there's just this element that, you know, you're gonna get through it and there's nothing that's gonna stop you, when you have this element now that, oh, you could be attacked, you could be killed by, you know, a group of people, you've got to be aware of your surroundings and be like, okay, well, if horde come, we can, you know, shimmy over to this town, or, you know, get the guards involved, or, you know, just keeping your eye on even other alliance players, or, you know, your faction players around you, just to feel that, you know, extra bit of safety. Like, you know, well, there's a few of us around here, I feel pretty safe. There's just this feeling inside, you know, the world is dangerous, we're at war, and I feel like war mode is just capturing that right now, and it's very enjoyable to participate in.
Yeah, and I think it's a cool system. I really enjoy it. I just think that maybe I'm a little bit scarred by the past, and that's why I chose to just turn it off, because I just want to get to 120. I don't want to fight horde as well for that. I'm definitely going to turn it on at some point and just try it out again and see how it feels like. But one thing that I really love about it is that one thing that I've always been saying since day one is that I don't mind PvPing. I don't mind going into battle with someone, but I want to choose when I'm PvPing. And if I'm questing right now, then I'm not up for PvPing. So that's why I back then mainly stayed in battlegrounds and when I wanted to PvP. But I like the system because it actually gives me the choice to say, all right, today I'm going to live life a little bit dangerously, and I'll turn on war mode and I'll go out there and see what happens. And I really like to get that choice instead of just being ganked randomly because you happen to be on a PvP server.
One thing that I do want to bring up that people might be thinking, if they haven't had war mode on and they just kind of have this image of like them trying to turn in a quest and they're just constantly getting killed by like the same person over and over and over again, I haven't really had that issue. While I've maybe gotten into the same encounter a few times because we're doing things within the same area, and then they're like, oh, I know that person's around here, so we're gonna fight constantly here and there. But it wasn't like, oh my god, I just want to turn this quest in. Will you guys please just leave me alone? And one of the greatest additions is the fact that if someone from the other faction gets on a roll and they're killing people, they show up on the map. They show up on the map, and then everybody can see like that person is around and they've been killing all of your faction mates, so they go around and then you hunt them down. But then also the chat has been so active in terms of just people, whether they're questers or people hunting. It's, hey, there's a horde person in this area, and they're telling people like there's a monk and a warrior right over here. Or I heard somebody in chat the other day, there's a stupid chicken over here, somebody kill him. Like, and then somebody actually thanked random people in the chat because they're like, thank you for killing that person. I've just been trying to do this quest and I didn't want to turn war mode off, but you guys helped me out. So that type of stuff, like that, I love that.
And then we've got the rush of airdrops as well. I mean, when you hear that, which I didn't actually know what the sound was when I kept hearing it at the start. Bless you.
Excuse me.
You hear this kind of you hear this rumble in the sky, and you're like, "Whoa, what's that going? What's going on?" And then you look up, you see a zeppelin flying by, and then occasionally you kind of catch a glimpse of where it's dropping its supply to. Then it kind of lights up the map. And I haven't really had the kind of skirmishes around the supply yet, and I feel like that will come more as world PvP evolves during this expansion. But it's such a thrill to see something drop and be like, oh, I'm gonna run over here and try and get this chest before the other side get it, and you get rewarded for that. And I think that is the big thing, that you are incentivized to go into war mode, that you get more XP, you get more reward for going in there and taking that risk. And that's something I feel like PvP servers missed for a long time, because there was no real benefit to PvP servers. The fact that most of the time it was just an inconvenience to be on a PvP server. There was a bit of fun, a bit of killing here and there, but it never felt really good. In my opinion, you usually had to go out and kill low people, or you got smothered by a big group of people, and it just never felt really good unless you were kind of raiding a city or something like that there. But now, with just the fact there's going to be little elements happening in zones, and so far it feels pretty good. And I'm gonna be keeping it on for the foreseeable future, unless I'm going out picking flowers or something. Then I don't need to be at war. But it's the XP bonus. It's very nice while you're leveling.
A change I would like to see is, if you are in a cutscene, I wish it would kind of phase you out for a little bit. I was in a cutscene, like just watching it, and then I come back and my health bar is like almost all the way down, and there's a rogue just whacking me as I'm watching the cutscene. I think that kind of sucks a bit, but I mean, I found it funny. But I could see how some people would just find it frustrating, especially like, what if you die during that cutscene? Just wake up and you're a spirit back at the graveyard.
This is part of the quest.
Yeah, I have a friend who's playing Horde, and he's playing a rogue, and he's really, really enjoying himself at the moment.
It's like vanilla all over again.
Yeah, he was a big vanilla rogue back then, and even on and Alakir was the PvP server of all of them, and he made PvP videos and stuff like that back then, and yeah, he's really enjoying himself. He's having so many vanilla vibes all over, and yeah, he actually only came back just to check it out, level from 1 to 20 on the free account, and he got hooked, and the expansion has revived all that as well, so it seems like he's hooked again.
I kind of had a stalemate with a rogue the other day. We were fighting on a slope, and it seemed like our health bars were like going down and then coming back up again. We were just kind of like, it could have gone on forever. So we both kind of just came to like the same conclusion at the same point, and we threw an attack at each other and then dipped out the other way and just started running off in the opposite direction, like, okay, we're done with this. But I kind of like the idea of like picking a fight with somebody and then seeing if like you can actually handle it. I like picking fights with warriors because they don't have a lot of healing abilities, so I can outlast them as a paladin. But then I went up against a shadow priest, and I got wrecked. Like, this fool was like, no matter how much I did, they just got that health back, and I'm like, okay, maybe their mana bar is going low. Nope, don't know why it wasn't going down, but
they don't have mana anymore. They don't use mana anymore.
Oh, Jesus. So yeah,
insanity, baby. Insanity, baby.
Nerf it.
But yeah, and that's the thing, because I'm my main is 120. It's my elemental shaman, and then I just for fun logged into my, well, not for fun. I started leveling my priest because I want to get enchanting up as well, just to save some gold and stuff like
Thank you
that.
for the enchant, by the way, for
You are
speeding up
welcome.
herbing in Kulturis. My bank balance thanks you immensely.
You're welcome. And I mean, yeah, sure, he is mythic geared when I went into the expansion, so he is pretty good geared and things like that. But I just ran in, dotted everything up, and just watched it die really, really quick. And I was like, oh, this is so much more fun compared to my elemental shaman, where I have to do so many casts before I actually put a dent in things.
Why
But I
did you
was like,
switch here? Because like you've been a big priest player for so many years. Is it just you wanted to change it up, or
I wanted to change it up pretty much.
I was shocked. I mean, I was like, when I think Marty, I think priest. You know, that's just
yeah. But the thing is that I'm having so much fun with Shadow at the moment, so maybe I will switch to Shadow Priest instead of Elemental Shaman. I don't know yet, but yeah, because it seems like it continues. It seems like even I'm 113 with it now, I think, and I'm still just wrecking everything.
One thing I wanted to bring up is the professions, and it's just a simple tip. It seems pretty obvious, but I know I missed it a little bit in, and some other people
choose
might miss
mining
it.
and herbalism. Yeah, choose that.
If you are doing professions, it doesn't work kind of how like it used to. Just make sure that you go in and you actually do the training in Borealis or the Horde equivalent. Make sure that you get in there and you actually like learn it for the BFA expansion and train your level 1 portion of it. Without that, you could be doing all the mining and herbalism you want, but that stat won't go up. I realized that the hard way. I was mining for a while and nothing was going up.
It's just like the good old days which you weren't around for, Michael, where you actually where you don't just get a quest and then you're off and can do the new profession leveling. No, you actually have to go to your trainer and learn it. So yeah, it's a really good idea to do that with all your professions.
Yeah.
And also, if you have cooking and if you enjoy doing cooking, the first, I think it's 50 or 75 levels of it, you can actually just do in Borealis or the Horde equivalent, because it's just bought materials from the vendors. So just a little tip.
No, that's useful information.
Meanwhile, just fishing in the ponds looking for the great catfish.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't actually looked into fishing yet, so I don't really know too much about it. I haven't really dabbled into archaeology yet either, so I don't really know too much about that either. But
I also heard in my guild chat that somebody was saying that pet battle world quests scale to your pet battle lineup that you go into. So I cannot confirm if that is 100% true, but if it is, that's pretty cool for kind of leveling up additional pets as well. Would need to get confirmation on that, but that's just some rumor I heard. Just why we're kind of throwing out little bits of I was gonna say useful information. Useful information.
Nobody pet battles. That's useless.
But
if you guys don't know, there is a gem that gives plus 5% experience as well, and there's also one that gives increased run speed. So just be aware of that. So if you are a jewel crafter, you can make them yourself. If you aren't, then check your local auction house.
Yeah, Selena, get making it.
And
it was way more fun to make them like on the first day when you could sell them for 10,000 gold or whatever, because now they go for 50.
In Tiragard Sound, that gives you extra rum speed. Just to confirm that.
So and also like all the dungeons that I've done so far, majority of them is really, really good fun. So I can't wait for you guys to actually get more into that so we can talk about it. Maybe next week, because especially that I have a few favorites. Wayquest Manor is one of them, one of my favorites, and Freehold is really good fun as well because I drink milk from a skull cup.
I have to give a shout out to the selfie quest as well that's in Tiragard Sound, because you speak to this gnome. He gives you a selfie camera, and I'm actually wondering if you don't have the selfie camera, is this a way to unlock the selfie camera? If anyone out there doesn't have the selfie camera and they've done this quest in Tirgard Sana, it'd be very interesting to know if that's a new way to acquire that for, because the selfie camera is a pretty big deal, right? And you kind of go around and you take selfies, and it's kind of funny.
And you can post them to Twitter as well, by the way, just if you didn't know, straight from the in-game client.
Can do that. And I just had one particular gnome in mind when I was doing that quest, so I swiftly informed them of this quest, and they were very happy about it.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Do you guys have anything else? Because we have hit the 1 hour mark and a little some. So do you guys have anything towards the end? I have one small thing, but I'm just want to see.
I want to give my initial reaction comparing it to Legion. I want to say
worst expansion ever.
I think for the most part, actually, I'm having more fun right now than I was in Legion. There's bunch of quests, just like there was in Legion. Like, if you remember, there were quests all over the place. There are quests all over the place here as well, but it does seem a little bit more put together. There's so much content to do. It feels a bit ridiculous on how much content there is. I don't know if I'm forgetting what it was like in Legion, but I definitely feel like it's either the pacing of it. It's either the pacing of it and not having just everything thrown at you at once, and then you finish it and that's it. But it seems like every quest giver, once I finish one thing, they have 2 more things ready for me, and it is annoying sometimes because I want to go to the next zone and I can't leave while there's still markers up. But it's been a lot of fun.
I can tell you so much that even though I feel like I've finished the zones out, most of them, I still run around when I run to a world quest or whatever. I run into a random quest marker in the world. I'm like, how did I miss that? So even when you think you're done, there's probably still things hidden around, and it's really, really cool. I really enjoy the feel of how much content there is right now.
And I do have one criticism.
Okay. Because when I would dinged 120, I had just left zone number 2, so I still had one full quest zone and the Jaina quest line afterwards, and the Horde equivalent on the Horde side. So yeah, it's amazing, and also just knowing that, all right, the more rep that I unlock, more quests will show up as well. So there's so much stuff to do, and we haven't even talked about world quests and stuff like that because you guys haven't unlocked that yet. And,
or island expeditions as well.
Island expeditions, also something we probably will talk about next week, and so much stuff.
My criticism is simply this: I am starting to feel the global cooldown. I'm starting to feel it with the rotation. It is feeling a little bit slower. I find myself still kind of ready to click something and it's not quite there yet. So I am starting to feel that. I'm sure that it'll just kind of settle in once I get used to it. But it's definitely a tad bit slower. Like, I'm definitely starting to feel that.
No.
And my final thing is, if you're in Tirgard Sound, head on over to Lord Poshface McGee's Manor and take part in the equestrian event, and let me know your high score, because there's an achievement to score 600 points on that thing, and I think I've managed to get 400 at my best attempt, and I would love to see any of you guys go out there and beat that, get that achievement. It's a little mini game. I'm a big fan of when Blizzard put little mini games into their quests, and especially when they tie to an achievement as well.
If you are at his manor as well, go to, there should be like a dance hall somewhere. Go to the dance hall and dance with someone. It has to be a player, so you should be good, Tom. You just bring your girlfriend along, go there and dance, and there's achievement for that as well.
No achievements, easy achievements. So you've taught us how to cook, you've taught us how to dance. There's nothing left to say.
What can't he do?
Exactly. I have one last thing as well, and it was that I was out today and I met up with one of my old friends, and he said, oh, by the way, I started listening to your podcast because I got back into World of Warcraft, and I was like, I need to talk to someone about it. Who do I know? Oh wait, Marty is doing a podcast, so I'm listening to that. And he agreed with me that the Jaina cinematic was a little tad boring compared to the Sylvanas one. He's even said,
did you watch it in Danish or something? You know,
no,
there's got to be something here.
He even said that he turned it off throughout the
what?
Because,
and he's still your friend? Come on.
That's why they're
So,
friends. Bunch of lames.
yeah, exactly. He's
Bunch
a
of
way
Jaina
better,
haters.
he's a way better friend now. So so just wanted to bring that up really quick. And I also want to quickly say that I do like it. I just thought the Sylvanas one was better. So with that being said, I think it's time for us to end the show because I'm getting death.
It's been such a good show, and you just ruined it.
Yeah, I just ruined it at the end. All right, let's get the hell out of here then.
Last orders! Last orders!
So, Tom, it's 1 year ago something happened, right?
Yeah, something happened with a gnome on Twitter, and we kind of joked about something, and then yeah, this gnome in particular ended up starting his own podcast from a joke from one of the tweets we made, and a year has passed, and the Frasley report, has gone from strength to strength. We stick it on the end of our show now, just so we can actually say that we're a decent podcast, because everything that happens before the Frasley report is a bit nonsense, really. But yes, congratulations to Frasley the Gnome. I know he's joined us today in the chat room on Twitch, and we would like to extend our humbling gratitude that you chose to give your show to us, to put on the end of our show like a little cherry. And we want to say well done for hitting 1 year, and keep it up, because what you don't see when we're playing your show is we have our mics on mute in here, but we're laughing and we have a lot of fun. Sometimes we don't tell the guests, they forget to mute, and then they laugh over your show, which has happened before. But no, keep it up, man, and you're an inspiration, and we really respect you for what you do every week, and we love to listen to the Frasley report.
And also, now that we are talking about Frasley, I just want to quickly plug his other podcast, the Frazzlecast, where I am on the latest episode. I'm joining him and Sour for a talk about podcasting and streaming and World of Warcraft BFA. So yeah, head over there. We'll put a link in the show notes.
And if you want a slightly better episode, you check out the one before that.
Well, Marty, you were very busy this week, because
I was very busy
show as well.
That is true. I was on another show as well. Some might remember our really good friend Sil from the Battle Chat. She decided to, because she went into a podcasting hiatus a while back, and she decided to get back into podcasting. She realized that she really enjoyed doing podcasting, but she also realized that she wanted to do a World of Warcraft podcast and not a Blizzard podcast like all the cool kids, but that's fine. So she has started a new podcast called Whispers of War, and I was so lucky to be the very first person to be interviewed on the show, so that should be up very shortly as well. So yeah, when we have a show note, we'll post that when we have a link to the show, then we'll put it in, add it to the show notes as well. So that I think that was my tour of the week. So
there's one more thing. There's one more thing as well.
One more thing.
The three of us, we're here. We do the Blue Recluse, but we also launched a new podcast. Because
that's correct.
If you can't get enough of us, we've started a new podcast called Nerd This, where we talk about nerdy things like movies, TVs, games, books, comic books, pretty nerdy stuff, but also we kind of go beyond that. We peel it all back and kind of find out what exactly makes everything all tick together when it comes to being a nerd. And we launched this week with our prologue episode, and we are also joined on that show by two other hosts from the Blizzard umbrella, Dusty and Ryan. So we've come together to form like the Avengers of podcasting. And you can find Nerd This on all the podcast catchers, and if you enjoy what we do here, why not check it out?
Thank you for that. I almost forgot that.
I forgot about it. Frasley reminded me, so thanks, Frasley.
Thank you, Frasley. Thank you so much. I just want to say that the next episode, if in case you're interested, will be about Pokemon Go. So if you play that as well, then check it out.
It's a dead game. I haven't played that in a week.
Me neither. Well, I saw that. Anyway, stay around, because after the show, as we also just said, we will have the Frasley report again. Congrats on the 1 year and the first 52 episodes. Keep up the good work. let us know your thoughts about anything we talked about on this episode, or if you I'm getting way ahead of myself. I
Words.
cannot speak this fast. I should speak slowly. Or if you have your own questions, feel free to contact us. Tom, how do people do that? And I will replay this song just for you to have
Oh,
something to talk
well, I mean,
over.
this is how good it's going today. Yes, email the show at thebluereclusepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, The Blue Recluse. Come on over to our Discord, thebluerecluse.eu/Discord. We're talking about Battle for Azeroth because, Battle for Azeroth.
And don't worry, we have a spoilers channel, so if you don't want to get spoils,
Yep.
you don't have to.
Yeah, we opened up a few new channels just, to protect people from stuff because some people play faster, like Marty, but that's okay. And we also have a self-promotion channel now, which I know Frasley is making good use of, and we like to see everything that everyone in the community is doing as well. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/the Blue Recluse. You can support the show there. We appreciate everyone that's doing that. And you can find all that information and more for this episode on our website, bluerecluse.eu or thebluerecluse.com, which I'm being told is nothing.
Welcome to the Frasley Report, a short news report by me, Frasley, the Awesome Gnome, to deliver your World of Warcraft news. Battle for Azeroth has launched! I'm so excited to be here. Wow. I haven't been home to Ironforge in a long time. It's been a game of thorns for the past few weeks. I'm over in Stormsong Valley, having just recently landed in Coltiris. Jaina's boat is amazing! I was on a boat, a progenitor procreation boat. The galley does not have good food. I don't know why, but Jaina decided to hire Nomi. I guess they got fired in Dalaran. When we arrived in Borealis, the first thing I did was buy some food from home, because I was famished. I bought what looked like a delicious Stranglethorn prickly pear. I remember these from my time of questing in Stranglethorn, finding all the pages for Hemet Nesingwary and then having all the tigers attack me. Do you remember that one stealth mob? But yeah, this pear, it tasted good. It was a little dry, which I understand for traveling all the way here. All of a sudden, I had to spit it out as a giant worm starts crawling out of it and into my hand. Gah! The vendor had told me it was fresh. Yes, fresh. 7 months ago. So don't trust the vendors here, they lie. The servers have been pretty stable for a global release. A few high population servers had some issues logging in. Even my former vanilla server of Stormrage, it was down for a little while. There were a few hotfixes that were rolled out to fix some quest bugs. I got disconnected a few times, but all is good. Been resting up my XP as well. One interesting bit of news I learned on the voyage over is in regard to another Blizzard title, Diablo, Titan's Creed, who I know best as a fellow patron of the Blue Recluse Tavern and podcast, was telling me about the fact that multiple Diablo project announcements are happening this year. They told me that a source close to them says it is a Diablo Battle Royale. You'll have something similar to Thanos in Fortnite. Whoever gets the Black Soulstone in the middle of the map becomes Diablo. They're also looking at adding Deckard Cain bucks so you can... Oh! That's my gnomish communication device, which I'm looking to call the Galaxy Nomergon phone, or GG phone for short. I just got to get the manufacturing started on it. But look for it soon in the auction house. Oh yes, sorry, someone is calling me. Hello?
Heyo!
Hey!
That's my nose!
Oh, Andy! From that dungeon we ran back in Legion.
Yeah, I've been loving your reports. Decided to call in.
Thank you, Andy. Always striving to bring you the most factual news regarding the game we all love. What are you calling about today, Andy?
Was calling to talk about my experience with Battle for Azeroth so far.
Nice. How do you like it?
It's awesome. Been up since Monday night playing. Haven't slept or worked yet.
Wait, you haven't slept at all?
Nah, I've been chugging coffee and energy drinks. I'm working my 43rd character to 120. And then delete them all afterwards.
Wait, delete all of them?
Yeah. Gotta keep playing. I just love this game.
But that's a lot of characters to 120 in a short period.
I know, but I just love this game. Oh my, I'm so exhausted, Fraz.
I would be too. I just usually go to bed around 11, or I try to at least.
Sleep? Who needs sleep? Jeff! Stop it! Stop it!
Who's Jeff?
My iguana kangaroo. He shows up when I step all night. He's from Australia. He plays WoW too. He was on the Horde.
Iguana get. I think you might need some sleep.
No, sleep can come later. I'm loving Battle for Azeroth. Gotta hit 50 max tunes before Monday.
If you insist, what is your favorite zone so far? Andy? You still there? I guess sleep finally got to Andy. Where was I in my report? I can't remember now. Well, thank you to Blizzard for a great launch and release of BFA. The coolest thing is, I just found there was a Recluse pizza in the city. Speaking of which, I'm feeling very hungry right now. I'm going to go grab some lunch. Thank you for tuning in today. Keep that dial set to this station for future broadcasts of the Fraz Report. Until next time, be awesome.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.